3.6, solving inequalities algebraically and graphically.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to drive home. I got like so many
Stop.
cough drops.
Cough drops.
Yeah. I'm gonna fall asleep at the wheel.
I don't think that's how it works. What kind of problem?
I'm hoping you have a graphing calculator.
It's in my locker. What kind of class?
Okay, solving inequalities algebraically and graphically. Okay, transitive property. We have 4 properties you gotta go over. The first one is transitive. Anybody remember what the transitive property is? This is something you should definitely have hit home in geometry.
Well, we didn't look at it.
Okay, it's when the middle's the same. If the middle is the same, then the outsides can have the same statement. So if A is less than B and B is less than C, then that means that A is less than C. You take away the middleman, transitive property, get rid of the middle. Second property is addition, property of equality. Are there triangles on your graphing calculator?
Can we graph triangles on our graphing calculator?
Yeah, it just would be require you putting in 3 equations that create a triangular shape. Okay, addition property of inequality says if A is less than B and C is less than D, then A plus C is less than B plus C. These are also called common sense problems. Okay, addition of a constant. Basically, if I add a constant to one side and add it to the other, they're still going to be the same. So if A is less than B, then A plus C is still less than B plus C. And then multiplying by a constant, same concept except for by multiplying. So if A is greater than B, then A times C is greater than B times C. And if A is right. So let's solve some simple equations. How would you solve 5x minus 7 is greater than 3x plus 9? What, Josh? Well, I'm not asking what property, I'm saying how do I solve this? Just solve it.
Move the X to one side.
Okay, so I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. I'm going to get 2x minus 7 is greater than 9. Now what do I do? Add 7, and I get 2x is greater than 16. Divide by 2, and x is greater than 8. Okay, just solving algebraically. Now, we have to show that on a number line and in what is that called? And in like parenthesis form. So how would you graph this on a number line? Good. Yes, I would do a parenthesis at the 8, and I would go this way. I do a bracket when.
It's over.
If
No
it's
line equals.
yes, if at least equal then sign is underneath. So then when I write this in parenthetical, I said 8 to infinity. So this whole thing right here is going to be your answer. Okay?
Oh, the cat and whiskers thing.
No.
What about?
I wanna be over here on.
Cat and whisker plot. You guys forgot about
That's not the
I've
cat
never
and
that's
whisker
been-
plot.
No, where's the box at?
That's definitely not a cat and whisker plot. Okay, let's
Don't
solve this
outdo me,
one.
my clocks.
1 minus 3 seconds. 1 minus 3 seconds x is greater than or equal to x minus 4. What do I do?
You could add X or 4 to this side.
Okay,
Get
add
the
4
cat
to
and
the other.
whiskers.
Shut up.
Where's the whiskers
So you get 5 minus 3 seconds x is greater than or equal to x. Now what?
Move that.
Yep, add 3 seconds x to both sides. So then you get 5 is greater than or equal to, this is 1.5, so you have 2.5 x. Now, how do you get rid of 2.5 x?
Flip it. Keep it, change it, flip it.
No, divide by it.
What happened?
So 5 divided by 2.5.
That's the X.
I'm sorry, Matt.
Gives me 2. So 2 is greater than or equal to x, or you could write it x is less than or equal to 2. Okay, whichever way is easier for you to figure out how to prove it. On a number line, what does that look like? A bracket, where at? At positive 2. And which way is the bracket going?
This way.
Backwards. And I write that as, how do I write that in parentheses form? What?
I'm really lost.
Okay. Negative infinity to positive 2. What are you really lost on? What are you really lost on?
Alright, if we go back to the first step,
How did we add 4 to both sides?
okay, no, not
Okay.
that.
So then when you add 4 to both sides, we get 5 minus 3 seconds x is greater than or equal to x. We subtract, or we add 3 seconds x to both sides. 3 seconds is 1.5.
How do we move that?
Because 3 over 2. 3 over 2 is an improper fraction. You need 2 to make a whole, and you have 1 left, so you have 1.5.
We're supposed to just accept things, Matt.
So then I added that to the 1x already, and I get 2.5x. To get rid of that in front of the x, I have to divide. When you divide 5 by 2.5, you get 2. And you can write it one of either of these ways. They say the same thing. 2 is greater than or equal to x, or x is less than or equal to 2. Either works. You have to put it on a number line. You have to write it in parenthetical. Let's try another one. We'll try another one. This one has stuff in the middle, so let's see what you do with this. What happens if I have negative 3 is less than or equal to 6x minus 1, which is less than 3. Okay, how do I solve this? Okay, we want the x in the middle, okay? You want the x to stay in the middle.
You add 1 to both sides.
You add 1 to both sides, beautiful. So I add 1 to everything. So I get negative 2 is less than or equal to 6x less than 4. Now what do you do? Divide everything by 6. So you get negative 2, 6 is less than or equal to x, which is less than 4, 6. Let's reduce this. What does negative 2, 6 reduce to?
1/2.
Not 1/2, 1/3. Negative 1/3 is less than or equal to x. X is less than, what does 4, 6 reduce to? 2/3. So now I can graph this on a number line. go to negative 1/3, what do I put?
I don't know what a bracket is.
A bracket. It says negative 1/3 is less than or equal to x. So I face it that way because it's less than or equal to. Then I go to 2/3. What do I put? A parenthesis. And I'm shading in between. So when I write this, I write bracket negative 1/3, parenthesis 2/3. That is your solution.
Very
Okay. Last one today, and then tomorrow we'll finish this section, and then Friday you'll have a quiz.
Did I miss the quiz?
No,
Or
You
annual?
could miss the
I don't think
convention.
so. Can you miss our quiz?
No, but did I?
I don't think so. I'll double
I
check.
don't want to miss it because I'm not going to do any better than what I'm
The absolute value of x minus 5 is less than 2. When you have absolute value, how many answers do you actually have?
In one.
2. Why 2? Because you have a positive and a negative. Because if I put 2 into the absolute value, I get a 2 out. If I put negative 2 into an absolute value, I get a 2 out. Because you always have a positive answer. So when you are doing absolute value, you have to set up 2 equations. And in inequality, that means this. You drop this x minus 5 into the middle. And you put a less than sign and a less than sign. Whatever the sign is, you put it on both sides of it. You put the positive answer here. You put the negative answer there.
How'd you get the bracket?
I did it. The equation is absolute value of x minus 5 is
No,
less
but
than.
like we needed like final like coordinates and stuff like that. How'd you get the bracket?
Bracket is if it's with less than or equal to or greater than or
Okay,
equal to.
I
Okay.
think I remember.
So now I've set up my equation. You drop this down into the middle. You keep 2 the same signs. The positive goes on this side on the right side. The negative goes on the left side. How do you solve from here? Add 5 to all sides. Beautiful. So I get 3 is less than x, x is less than 7. Now we can graph that.
I like how the American flag is in
I thought that was ironic too.
It's terrible, guys.
Okay, now what do I do? 3 parentheses, which way does it face?
The parentheses facing this way, the left foot, like going that.
Yeah, going that way. Good.
I don't know how to say it.
And then where else do I put a parenthesis?
7.
And it faces
Right.
in because x is less than it. So I shade in between. So then I have 2 sets of parentheses. And this is my whole solution. Okay. We will work on the graphing portion tomorrow with your graphing calculator. We worked on the algebraic portion today.